So one thing I guess I want to ask, but to then carry back on the conversation around angels, is in you seem to have done a great job of making the most of opportunities, and you've spoken about like serendipity and following your interests. So assuming that you have a great mindset for seeing and seizing opportunities, have there been any opportunities that you'd say you've missed and you're like in hindsight, shit? Or on the flip side, have there been ones that you did take and you're like, actually, I made a sacrifice doing this. I took the wrong opportunity. And have you built a framework to help you learn from and evaluate opportunities?
So yes to all of this, because I think that it's an intrinsic part of growing and learning is both missing opportunities that would have been great and realizing what was the reason why you didn't take those opportunities. And that doesn't actually mean that if you had realized it, you would have taken it, but understanding what were the reasons is actually really important to create a mental model of what to do next. And also things that I've done that didn't go the way that I expected or hoped. Now, with a little bit more maturity and gray hair, you can see the lessons, the wins, the learnings, even in the outcomes that were not the ones you hoped. And it took me a while to basically understand how valuable and how proud you can be of your failures when you are taking the right things out of it so that you can apply them going forward. And it just jokingly, one of my biggest ever misses will actually always be my favorite party story or dinner party story, which is right out of the acquisition of Microsoft. I invested in a company that was being started by one of my former employees, which by the way has been by far my best investing strategy ever, has been to invest in all of the companies that all the folks that worked for me went on to start. Because first of all, we built a great team, but also you really know those people and understand their mindset as well as your own. But I was on the board of that company and I met one of my fellow board members who I didn't really know, but it seems like he had been a multiple time founder, was starting a new company. Interestingly enough, this company that he was starting, he was not running. He had someone else run, which kind of was a little bit of a flag for me and was raising money. And I met with the person that actually was running the company and I decided to say no to that because the app at the time didn't quite work. This black car that was supposed to come pick me up was not coming to pick me up. And at the same time, it still makes for a good story and many other investment opportunities I took. In terms of the failures and things that didn't go the way that I expected, I think the most interesting one is really the show Allegiance, which I really thought would resonate with commercially in a way that would be successful from what I expected it to be the only way it made sense to measure the success, which is box office, length of run, financial return for investors, and so on and so forth. And for a number of different reasons, we opened the show in San Diego. It became the most successful show at the box office the Old Globe had ever produced in its entire history and ran for longer and had beat a record of audience attendance and all of those things. So we were pretty galvanized coming into Broadway. And for a number of different reasons, it either resonate with the press. It also opened a couple of months after Hamilton did on Broadway, which was a very difficult, challenging moment for any show to gather kind of press attention. And we only ran for 6 months. And because of the incredibly tough economics of commercial theater on Broadway, I'm run that is 6 months for a musical. It's effectively a total loss of capital. And it was really challenging to come to term with that and realize, well, wow, I spent all this time and resources and money and investments, and I thought at the time have nothing to show for it. And the reality is that there was enormous amounts to show for it that led to a life for the show, to people, the impact on individual audience members and people that still to this day is remarkable. A film that went all over the world, multiple productions now, and even the opportunity to potentially do it next year in London. And so all of that kind of has to be reconciled with the fact that things didn't go the way you expected. And you pick it up and learn and realize that you are incredibly proud for having created something that has this lasting impact on a part of the landscape, cultural and otherwise. And that you moved this massive boulder up the hill in order to make that happen. And yes, it would have been better if things had gone in a different way, but I've learned to not measure success only in the most obvious of ways and realize what success actually really means.